envelope that changed everything. Chapter 1. Toast that ended America. The Evergreen Country Club in Wellesley smelled like money and fresh-cut roses on the night of June 14, 2025. Ivory and blush peonies spilled from crystal cases on every table. Chandeliers, actual baccarat, not the cheap offs, threw soft diamonds of light across 100 of the most polished people in Graydon. Waiters in white gloves moved like ghosts, filling glasses of Veuve Clicquot and serving crusted filet mignon that cost more per plate than most people's weekly grocery bill. I was 57 years old, and I had never felt more comfortable in my own life. I sat at the head table in a sapphire blue gown I'd bought in New York 6 months earlier, as I wanted to look like the mother of groom who had it all together. To my left, my son Ethan, 28, broad-shouldered, spitting image of his father at that age, grinned at his new wife, Lily. She was radiant in lace and pearls, her hand relieving his. We were the reason we were all here. And I had spent months obsessing over seating charts and making sure the string quartet knew to play At Last when they entered. To my right sat my husband of 32 years, Richard Harlan. He looked like the cover of Boston Magazine's Under 40 issue, except he was now 60. Silver hair, charcoal Tom Ford suit, Patek Philippe on his wrist that I had bought him for our 30th anniversary. He kept checking his phone under the tablecloth, thumb moving fast. I told myself it was the closing on the new Bay condo tower. He was always closing something. The MC stepped up. Ladies and gentlemen, the father of the groom. Applause rolled like thunder. Richard stood, champagne flute in hand, and to the side with a silver fork. The room quieted the way only rich people can. Light, expectant, a little drunk. He smiled the same smile that had closed deals. Family, friends, loved ones. His voice carried, deep and practiced. Today we celebrate my son Ethan and the Lily. Welcome to the family, sweetheart. You're getting a good one. Cheers. And wiped his eyes. Lee blew a kiss to her parents at table 6. Richard's gaze drifted across the room, then held on me. The thing in his eyes was different. Not love, not even affection. It was the look he gave contractors right before he lowballed them. But as we celebrate new beginnings, it's only to acknowledge endings too. Temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Victoria. Used my full name like a verdict. For 32 years, you've been my wife. You've been a wonderful mother to our children. I've come to realize our marriage has run its course. I've found someone new, one who makes me feel the way I felt when first met, one who understands the man I've become. I turned slightly and gestured across the table to the woman sitting directly opposite me, Lee Bennett, 28 years old. Emerald green dress that probably cost more than my car, platinum blonde hair and loose diamond studs in her ears that I had never seen before. She lifted her champagne flute in a tiny triumphant toast, her lips curved in a smile that said, "Checkmate." Silence was so complete I heard a weight of a spoon in the kitchen. Ethan's face went from joy to horror in half a second. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. My sister Claire stood halfway out of her chair like she was about to lunge. One at table 12 actually gasped out loud. I felt the blood leave my face. 2 years. The nights I stayed up with Six while he was at the office. Career I put on hold. The house I rated. The books I kept for his company. Dinners I threw for his clients. The way I through every late night, every canceled vacation, every "it's just Vic." Now this, at our wedding, in front of one who mattered. The room waited for the explosion, for the wine glass to the face, for the scene they could tell their therapist about for years. Instead, I felt something cold and crystalline in my chest. I leaned forward, elbows on the tablecloth, steady as a surgeon's scalpel. "Well, Richard," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "Thanks for the heads up." A few shocked laughs broke the silence. Richard blinked. Thrown. I reached into my clutch, the small beaded one matched the gown, and pulled out the thick manila envelope I had read all day like a loaded gun. Slid it across the white linen toward him, stopped right in front of his untouched lay. "Here's a little something for you to read now. Your choice." His hand hovered over it. Chloe's smug smile cracked for the first time. I stood up, smoothed my dress, and turned to Ian and Lily. "Sweetheart, I said to my son, kissing his cheek. This is your night. Don't let anything ruin it. I love you more than life. Kissed Lily's forehead. You're already the daughter I always wanted. Enjoy every second. Then I walked away, heels clicking on the marble, head high, shoulders back. Behind me, I heard the rip of paper. And the scream. Victoria, what the fuck is this? It wasn't a yell. It was a primal roar of panic and rage that stopped the chandeliers and crystal vibrate. Glasses rattled. A woman screamed. Son's chair scraped back so hard it fell. I didn't turn around. Valet had the Mercedes waiting, engine. I tipped him $100 bill, slid behind the wheel, and drove into the warm June with the windows down. In the rearview mirror, the lights of the club grew smaller. I smiled for the first time in months. The envelope wasn't divorce papers. It was the complete destruction of Richard's world. I had spent a year making sure it was. 2. The girl who believed in forever. Let me take you back to 1993. I was 25, fresh out of the Rhode Island School of Design, and I thought I was going to take the interior design world by storm. I had a tiny studio apartment in the South End, Boston, a portfolio full of moody, elegant spaces, and a catering side hustle at Vic's table that paid the rent. My mac and cheese with aged Gruyere and truffle was legendary. Victoria Harlan was 28 and already smelled like us. He showed up at a charity gala for the Boston Children's Hospital wearing a rented tux that now looked custom. I was there because I had catered the dessert, mini lemon tarts and chocolate eclairs. He asked me to dance during the silent auction. You look like you could redesign this entire and make it better, he said, spinning under the lights. I laughed. It took me 6 months and a bigger budget. By the end of the night, he had my number and promised to take me to dinner at the Legal Seafoods. We were married 11 months later on Cape Cod. Ceremony, my mother's veil, his mother's ring. He promised me the world. First sacrifice came when Ethan was born in 1996. Richard's company, Harlan Developments, had landed its first big project, a mixed-use tower in Cambridge. He worked 18-hour days. I paused my design business to be home with a son. Just for a little while, he said, kissing my head while I nursed Ethan at 3 a.m. Once we're stable, you can go back to creative things. I believed him. That came in 2000. Another pause, another just a little while. In 2005, I was doing the books for Harlan Developments part-time because the company was growing too fast and Richard's accountant's an idiot. I discovered I was good at it. Very good. I could spot a discrepancy from across the room. I started handling payroll, vendor payments, filings. I told myself it was temporary. It never was. I loved our life. The colonial in Wellesley with the wraparound porch, summers at the Cape. The way Ethan and Mia would run through the sprinklers while Richard grilled steaks, called me the best damn wife and it's. I believed in us. Chapter 3. The Slow Poison. The first real crack appeared in 2015. Richard hired Chloe Bennett as his executant. She was 23, fresh out of Babson, sharp as it looked like she belonged on a yacht in St. Barth's. He called him Mr. Harlan in the office, and Richard when they traveled together for noticed the little things first. New cologne Tuesdays, phone always face down, texts at 2 a.m. that made him smile in the. Then the separate Amex black card showing up in the mail, addressed only him. $4,800 at Tiffany's, $2,300 at the Four Seasons in Newport, $11,000 at a private jewelry atelier in New York. When I asked about it, he waved it away. Client entertainment, Vic, tax deductible. He handles the reimbursements. We again. I started keeping my own records, quietly, methodically, the way I'd been trained in my 2 years at the financial advisory firm before design. In 2020, during the pandemic, Richard asked me to take over the company books full as cash flow was tight. I had full access to every account, every wire, every expense report. That's when I found the first transfer, $2,500 from our joint savings to an LLC called Holdings, and another. For 18 months, $320,000 moved out of our accounts I had helped build into accounts tied to Chloe. I hired a private investigator in January 2020. Photos were clinical and devastating. Richard and Chloe holding hands at a restaurant in Beacon Hill, kissing in the back Rover in an underground garage, her wearing the diamond tennis bracelet I had seen. Next statement. The photo showed them leaving a condo building in the back bay at 7 a.m. He was wearing his dress shirt. I sat in my car outside the PI's office in Ridge with the folder on my lap and cried for exactly 7 minutes. Then I wiped my eyes, drove home, and started. Chapter 4. The prenup that would bury him. I had forgotten about the prenup until I was cleaning out the home office in February 2024. 38 pages of legalese Richard had it on before our wedding. My first marriage ended in a bloodbath, he'd said. This protects both of us. I had signed it at 25, in love and trusting. Now, at 56, I read every word like it was the bull. Clause 14b was the gold. Fidelity provision. In the event either party engages in extramarital sexual relations during the marriage, as proven by clear and convincing evidence, the offending party shall forfeit all rights to spousal support, any claim to more than 20% of marital assets, any interest in Harlan developments beyond its value on the date of marriage, and shall pay the a cash penalty equal to 3 times the value of marital funds diverted to the party. Richard had written his own trap. I called my old college roommate Ramirez the next morning. She was now the best high net worth divorcee in Boston. She met me at her office in the financial, read the prenup, and actually loud. Victoria, this is the most beautiful self-owned I've ever seen. He wrote it after his first divorce to screw his ex. Now it's going to screw him. Massachusetts courts love these clauses and the evidence is this clean. She laid out the plan. Gather ironclad proof. Let him make the first public move. Hit him when he's most vulnerable, in front of the people whose opinions matter most. I spent the next 4 months building the file. Forensics, time-stamped photos, shots of deleted texts I recovered from iCloud. He still used the family Apple ID because he's lazy. Emails from the company server where he called her baby in the subject line. In May 2025, the manila envelope was ready. It contained the full divorce petition citing adultery and financial misconduct, demand letter from Elena, color copies of the incriminating document, flash drive with the photos and videos, and a single post-it note in my handwriting. You should have been smarter. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. Richard was already gone, said he had to check the florist at the club. I knew he was meeting Chloe for a quickie at a hotel down the street. Spent the day getting ready like it was any mother of the groom day. Her makeup, the sapphire dress, I even Lily with her veil. At one point, Ethan pulled me aside in the bridal suite. Are you okay? Mom. I smiled and kissed his cheek. I'm baby. This is your day. He didn't know what was coming. Nobody did. Chapter 6. The scream heard round the country. You already know what happened at the auction. What you don't know is what happened in the parking lot. As I drove away, my phone started exploding. Then, Mom, what the hell was that? I'm coming over right now. Richard, answer your fucking phone. I turned the ringer off and drove to the house in Wellesley one last time. I packed 2 suitcases, my jewelry, the documents, and the original prenup. I left the keys on the kitchen island and drove to the Back Bay condo I had secretly leased 2 months earlier. I poured myself a glass of the 2016 Opus 1 Richard had been saving for our 35th and toasted the empty room. New beginnings. Chapter 7. The War. The legal battle lasted 14 months. Richard hired the most expensive shark in New York to claim the prenup was unconscionable. Tried to say the affair was an emotion, not sexual. Tried to say the $320,000 was a business. Elena destroyed him in deposition after deposition. Judge, a woman in her 60s who had seen the trick, held the infidel in full. Harlan development stock dropped 40% when the news leaked. Not from me, probably a burr who hated him. Clients pulled out. The board forced him to step down. Chloe lasted after the money dried up. Last I heard, she was back in Ohio working at a dentist. Richard tried one last plea in mediation. He's smaller, thinner, eyes red-shot. We can fix this. We've been through everything together. I looked at him across the table and felt nothing but pity. Richard, You went through everything. I read it. He signed the papers. I walked away with the house, sold for $4.2 million, 80% of marital assets, the $960,000 penalty, 30 interest in a restructured Harlan's placed in a trust for Ethan and my dignity. Chapter 8. The woman I became. 2 years later, I'm 59. I live in a sun-drenched loft in the South End with floor to toes and a kitchen I designed myself. My design firm, Victoria Harlan Studio, was featured in Boston Magazine last month. My solo project after the divorce was Lee and Ethan's new house in Newton. They used to let anyone else touch it. I date sometimes, nothing serious yet, but the man I'm seeing now, a retired architect, Marcus, makes me laugh in a way Richard never could. I saw Richard last month at a charity gala. He was with a woman in her 40s who looked busted. I walked right up, smiled, and said, "You look, Richard." Couldn't meet my eyes. I leaned in and whispered, "By the way, the new tower you were so proud of, the one you lost, I bought the penthouse unit." I walked away. Some people say revenge is a dish best served. I say it's best served at your son's wedding in front of 200 witnesses with the manila and 32 years of quiet strength. As the night Richard tried to destroy me in public, he didn't realize he was handing me a match to burn his entire world down. I lit it with a smile.